Drama awaits, only on Echoes of Love. Our movie begins in 1981 in San Francisco with Christopher Gardner, an inventor of a portable scanner used to measure bone density. He had spent his life savings on it and was trying in every possible way to promote and sell it. However, because of its high cost, selling it was a bit difficult. That was the reason behind many problems with his wife, Linda, who worked all day to help pay the bills. One day, he saw his dream car and asked its owner, "How can I buy a car like this?" The owner replied, "I work as a stockbroker." So Christopher decided to submit an application to Dean Witter, hoping to be accepted for the job. He tried to meet Mr. Twistle, the company's head of human resources, and rode with him in a taxi to convince him. Fortunately for him, Mr. Twistle was trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, which was almost impossible for anyone to solve in less than half an hour. But Christopher took the cube from him and solved it while talking to him, which made Mr. Twistle take interest in his file when a hiring opportunity became available. But that trip caused Christopher to be late picking up his son from daycare, as he had agreed with his wife. His wife reached her limit with him, left the house, and took their son with her. But in the midst of all this darkness, he received a phone call from Dean Witter informing him that he had an interview. The next day, he met his wife Linda at the daycare, told her that their son would be staying with him, and then took his son home. Because he was late in paying the rent, he had a fight with the landlord, who demanded that he either pay or leave the apartment. Christopher bargained with him and agreed that he would be given more time in exchange for painting the entire apartment. But unfortunately, even while painting the place, the police came and arrested him because of his unpaid violations and overdue bills. This caused him to be late for the company interview, and he arrived wearing the same clothes he had been arrested in, the same clothes stained with paint. His appearance was neglected, paint covered his clothes, and he tried to convince them that he was fit for the job and that he was very skilled with numbers. The interviewer asked him, "What would you say if a young man showed up for a job interview without a shirt or a tie, and I still accepted hiring him?" Christopher replied, "I'd say, he must have had on some really nice pants." He was, in fact, accepted afterward, but he turned down the job when he learned that the first 6 months would be without pay. However, Mr. Twistle tried to convince him to find a solution and join the training, so Christopher left and went home. He kept thinking about the training until he called Mr. Twistle and told him that he would start, and that he agreed to join the company's training program. He then moved into a simple hotel because its rent was cheaper than the apartment he had been living in, and he would leave his son in daycare. During the training, he had to finish a certain number of phone calls to have priority in getting hired. He created a plan that involved preventing himself from drinking water during work so he wouldn't have to go to the bathroom, saving more time for calls. Over time, his life started to improve a little, until he received a letter informing him that if he didn't pay his overdue taxes, the money would be taken automatically from his account. Unfortunately, the moment the letter arrived, the deadline had already passed that same day, so all the money in his account was withdrawn. He became bankrupt and returned to struggling again, trying to sell any device he could. After a long day, and while returning to the hotel, he found that the owner had kicked him out and thrown his belongings outside because he hadn't paid the rent. He took his son and went to the train station not knowing where to go. He played with his son and told him a story until he fell asleep, and he was forced to spend the night at the station with his child. The next day, they slept in a homeless shelter. Some days he found a place, and other days he didn't, sleeping on the train or in the street instead. But the 6 months finally passed, and he was informed that he had been hired at Dean Witter as a stockbroker. For the first time in a long while, Christopher Gardner felt happiness. Here we reach the end of the video. Subscribe for more.